fast-paced business owner and you are looking to gain more clients, create more impact, and more revenue in your business, tune in to Amplify Your Marketing Message with Campbell Rapin. Every week, we're going to take you through how to build an audience of buyers, mastering your marketing message, and making offers that convert consistently. We'll see you all on the inside. As a business owner, you should know that you cannot be the best kept secret and see consistent client growth. But today we're going to take a unique spin on this desire to get visible by sitting down with an amazing businesswoman. She's someone who I've used a lot of her tools to help my business grow. We're going to be talking about getting noticed and improving your profitability through PR. Give a very warm welcome to our guest today. This is Lynette Hoy. Welcome to the show. Can't wait to have this conversation.
Wonderful to be here with you, Christine, and your audience.
Okay, I want to know, it all starts with being able to communicate with strangers. So what are your thoughts about what's working right now to actually see success? Because without success, we are wasting our time and nobody's got time for that. Take us through communication.
Well, first of all, it's really important to remember that relationships are key. And in 2023, it has continued through the year, and that there's two major trends that have stayed in motion. Now, mind you, these trends were compiled by Pew Research and through the Public Relations Society of America. And what they came through with is that the two biggest trends in 2023 are relationships and AI, which is truly not a surprise to anyone. But when it comes to that public relations push, what we're looking at is relationships. And that's really the number one thing, Christine, that all of us should be focusing on in terms of how we're communicating. So, for example, in a networking event, you don't really want to say, "Hi, I'm Lynette. What do you do?" That is truly old school. And the same applies for online virtual networking events. So instead of that, "Hi, I'm Lynette. What have you been doing this summer?" "Hi, I'm Lynette. What do you have planned for the winter? Do you ski?" So I'm making a connection versus the traditional way of networking. And that's really critical all through our different types of communications. For example, when you email, it's not, "Hey, Christine," you go right into the sentence. It's not breaking right into the content of an email, but you want to connect an email to. "Dear Lynette, hi, Lynette. Hope you had a great weekend." Next paragraph, you dig into the content. So it's really continuously diving into that relationship quotient.
I think this is awesome because, while AI is a fantastic tool and we all know it's going to be an important thing to get our heads around, it does not replace the relationship business. And the fact that never goes out of style, people do business with people. And I know that we have different cultural elements to this. I know when I was living abroad and working in the European countries, I was often receiving feedback that you're too focused on the direction in the business. And you need to understand the relationship pace, style, and lean in, because you cannot create influence without the people-to-people conversation. And what are your thoughts generally, if you were saying, in your own world right now, when you're out networking, are people doing a good job with this, or do we actually need to have this statement that says, "You're not as good as you think you are"? Where do you think on this point of view?
I think most people are friendlier. They're more open. On the negative side, they are definitely not stepping into that new world of how we're showing up from a connection standpoint and that kindness. I mean, I'm still seeing a lot of what I just displayed to you. What do you do? Well, that's wonderful, but I'm not connecting with you.
Hmm. I think this is interesting because if you are looking to make profitable business, your point of view, as I'm hearing, is saying show up as the human, because it actually makes not only the right people connect to you, it actually takes you out of a competitive field and leaves you standing in one of few versus one of many. And I think that that is sometimes the biggest goal that we're searching. We think it has to be this, I have to get in front of everybody and talk to everybody and be all things to all people. But the truth is really, you need to find your people. So
And perfection is not necessary.
yeah, as a PR strategist, what do you think every expert needs as they start to grow their business profitably? What do you see?
I see a lot of people, first of all, coming from another industry, corporate America, either that or being a part of a different type of business. And they're moving forward into entrepreneurialism. We
Mhm.
started to first see that with COVID and through 2021, but it is still happening. In fact, more so because there's many companies that are pulling back on flex time. There's a lot of very talented people that can write their own ticket. So the problem becomes how they show up online. They're accustomed to not having to have an online presence. But when you're an entrepreneur or small business owner and you're looking to open that door and become that go-to expert for the media where they want to interview you or your ideal client needs to find you and you don't show up at all, you're in trouble.
Mm.
So it brings down your level of credibility. And let's say someone refers you or I. If they can't find us, whether through our business or our personal names, we're in trouble. So there's got to be not only a web presence, but for example, something people don't know about is filling out things like Zoom info and all the different business listings. And there's dozens and dozens of them. And I generally tell my clients, focus on about 60 because you don't have to tell your whole life story. But listing your business, yourself, it really gives a little oomph, if you will, to
Mhm.
how you're showing up online, as well as a myriad of other things. Making sure your social media is intact. Many people, and I've seen this in corporate America, and then it rolls over into entrepreneurialism. And it's as simple as having a professional image on your LinkedIn profile. Instead, there's someone with sunglasses on, which is a no-no, or they've got their hair in a mess, or they're holding their dog, or the dog is the profile image, and that's great for your personal Facebook page or something like that. But from a business standpoint, having that imagery, not only of you personally, but also your branding should be behind you and carry through all of that. So much of that is missing, including business pages on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
So that's really a good place to start.
And I think this is interesting because when we do leave corporate, we sometimes can enter into the world of entrepreneurship, and I'm going to say with a stuffed shirt, and we kind of hide behind that professionalism, which is both a really good thing, but it can be a double-edged sword because at the end of the day, you're saying make sure it's thought through and representative of you and your capabilities, but show still up as you. And I think one of the big things I've seen, I know when I've done over the course of my business, when I've used imagery, I'm much more thoughtful now about, do I want people in suits? Do I want people sitting around a boardroom table? Do I want people around flip charts? Like, because, many marketing agencies will use those stock corporate images. And so that's not really who I serve. And I've had to be very directive around it. And that is why we've talked here on the show many times. You want the brand to evolve, but you do want it to be a cohesive, very robust backstory, because what I know is true is, showing up in a business catalog or directory gives you a step of legitimacy. Having congruency across your social media platforms, if you choose to play in them, showing up that says, oh, that's the same face. I do recognize them in that setting. And you want to curate, I am still a person that's approachable. And I
Yes.
love that you're talking about the pictures on LinkedIn, because it's real estate that is freely given. Please use it effectively and start building your expert status, because what people notice right away will help them either move forward towards you or repel the wrong people. And you want to be thinking, who is it you want to attract? Because we are building trust. Let's talk about how important trust is for small business and how we can start to leverage strategies that help us be more effective.
Well, one of those strategies as part of building that online presence, and it has a huge push on trust, and it really affects trust, and that is writing. So if you're not keeping your blog current, if you're not writing articles, not just posts on LinkedIn, but articles on LinkedIn that you can share out to other platforms, and if you're not writing on another source like medium.com, which is ideal because it's also free for the most part. And so you need to have a minimum of 3. If you choose another platform other than Medium, that's great, but it builds trust because it is so well known. And so is LinkedIn. So I always advise my clients to take on writing. And if you hate writing, you don't go for it, then hire someone to do your writing for you and leverage your YouTube videos, which are also a credible source that build trust, and get them transcribed and have that writer leverage those transcriptions to not only get to know your voice, but it gives them topics to choose from to write about. Here's the other thing, you can also do that yourself. So I highly recommend that, because when people go looking for you, when they see that you're writing about what you know, and there's those listings, there's other things out there where you're showing up, but most important are your videos, your YouTube channel. We're all guilty. I'm certainly guilty of not building mine out because I do so many other things with my clients, but that writing, again, definitely number one.
I like writing too, and it's one thing that I certainly, it does. It may not be the very first thing you do, but it should be on your strategy plan for a couple of reasons. One, we talked about where we started. What is the big trend that is happening in the world of communications? It is about relationships and AI. And so while you can use AI to help you with some research, I'm an advocate for that. That's a time saver. Never forget, the most important piece of the writing is your lens, your point of view, and your perspective, because the goal is to attract and repel your ideal clients and to identify those that are the action takers who become potential buyers. And so when you're doing this, you are sharing your opinion loudly, unapologetically, and pulling unique insights together. And the benefit of third-party platforms, whether they are video or oral or written or auditory, what matters
Yeah.
is that all of this helps your searchability. It helps your credibility. And that's why I said, what is it doing? It's building trust. The longer your tail, what I mean is the longer you've been doing this, the more comfortable strangers are that you are, one, who you say you are. In the world of digital, that's a really important point. And secondly, there's stronger trust that you will be here in a year. And you want to be sure that you're building that momentum that says, I might not be ready yet, but I'm watching carefully. And that's the buyer who's moving from curiosity to paid client. And of course, the faster we do that, the easier our growth pipeline becomes. So I love that you talk about writing. I love that you talk about, you don't have to do it all, but figure out where you start and master that thing. And it doesn't have to be pay to play. I love that you've given free resources. And I want to ask you just before we lead you to your last question, but if you were going to pay for some type of PR, not the free articles, not the free LinkedIn stuff, but something you start to say, I'm going to pay for. From your expert opinion, where do you start if you were going to step into pay to play from a visibility point of view?
I would, first of all, hire someone like myself to guide you through the process. And there's lots of other publicity strategists like myself out there, public relations pros. Get some guidance because it's very difficult to figure out that path on your own. So whether you do a VIP mentoring program or a group program, whatever the case might be, it's not just marketing. That PR piece is really huge. And one of those pieces is developing a really professional press room, which goes well beyond just having you show up consistently in terms of imagery or just videos, but there's a way to do it when you're just starting out and onward that can really position you as an expert. And it's not really something you can jump into on your own. So I highly recommend starting off getting some real quality help from someone that you resonate with.
I think that's a fantastic suggestion because I was just telling Lynette before we started our conversation today, I was just in a room with a very successful business owner who's really looking for that next level of growth. So they're in the multiple six figures. And I said, what's the strategy you need? She said, I've just hired a PR agency because I have gotten myself so far and I need to reach now rooms and be welcomed at that highly professional, personalized, trustworthy way. And I'm going to save myself a whole whack of time with a guided strategy. So I always want to ask everybody in my business who comes onto this platform to talk about what's working right now. Let's amplify what's working for you in your business to create client growth for you and build momentum in your business.
A big part of what I have been focusing on is email and a little social media, but I have been doing a little experiment between how much social media I post and email. And it's been astounding. So not only have I been reaching out personally, which every day my target is 10 people, which I don't always reach, but that's what I strive for, that I either pick up the phone and call, but for the most part, it's through email. And then I email my lists consistently. So if you have something to share about how to show up, your personal experiences, do a lot of nurturing. Don't just sell to your list. Really build those relationships with people, and you'll be stunned at how many people will hit reply and agree with you or ask you for more information. So that's one of the big things I'm doing right now that's driving a lot of success. And the other one is, of course, connecting virtually, having one-on-ones like you and I did recently, Christine, and taking the time, because it's really difficult when we're doing a lot of client work, which I do, to block those hours to make sure that I'm marketing and doing that, in this case, the PR effort, that relating with the public, relating with those that are very directly important to me on a consistent basis. And that is a tremendous avenue for growth that I see a lot of light from.
I love this because two things I think are really, really good nuggets. One is just remember the people who joined your list have said, I trust you.
Yes.
At the very start, that's what they've said. They're giving you what is very highly valuable is direct access to a one-to-one conversation, which in this case is written. They also, you're saying, is I schedule it, so I'm predictable and I can be trusted to continue to deliver. And don't use this just as a platform to sell. I'm not at all saying don't sell. Like, come on, some people are so good at their email, but they never sell and no one knows what you do. Don't fall into that camp. But really realize that you need to show up as human. There is nothing more alluring than a recognized peer who's chapters ahead, but still a work in progress. Because it opens the door to the vulnerability that says, I might need some guidance. So
and
you want
it's
to leave that door open, right?
There's a really wonderful way to do that. and in your subject line to write about something that just happened to you. Hit the guy in front of me last week, uh, fender bender, fender bender last week. Oops, just something really real. And when they're reading about that fender bender and what happened, at the end of that email, you tie it into something with your business that's not salesy, that doesn't ask anyone for anything, but asks them to evaluate themselves. How well are you paying attention? Are
I
you
love
looking
it.
around you and seeing where those opportunities lie? And you can tie it to those personal events where there's a little tragedy that is struck.
Yeah, because we all live through our plot twists. I absolutely love it. I'm a big fan of the work that you do, as you know. Tell us where our audience can find you to learn more about Fire Talker PR.
Well, you can certainly visit my website at firetalkerpr.com. And I have a wonderful gift for our viewers and listeners today, and that is to get a download at igniteyourvisibility.com. And it's 22 ways to get more exposure, really starting now. Things that you can start working on to build that online presence. And it's changed. There's a lot more detail. And I invite you to grab that download again at Ignite Your Visibility. And at the end of that download, it also gives you the opportunity to reach out to me. And I highly recommend that. Jump on chatwithlynette.com, book some time with me, and let's talk about where you are in your business.
Guys, I'm going to invite you to do that. I will tell you, her download is one I still reference. It is highly useful, and it does actually help you lay the foundations. It has been fantastic to have you as our guest today. Everyone, please go connect with Lynette. Think about how PR can be important, and remember to show trust to gain visibility, which will lead you to more profitable relationships and hopefully a heck of a lot more fun in your business. Until next time, we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
That's a wrap on another amazing episode of Amplify Your Marketing Message with me, your host, Christine Campbell Rapin. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss another great episode. And be sure to visit christinecampbellrapin.com/podcast to get a free resource on how to master your marketing message. We'll see you all on our next episode.